Hicham, thank you very much for making some time. You're here to talk about design in Africa, but also to introduce the first Africa Design Award. But I want to talk about that broader issue of what's happening with design in Africa. I think people are very aware that in certain areas, notably music, perhaps visual arts as well, there's an amazing tradition and a strong contemporary strain of work that people are familiar with of Africa. Design is something that I think people aren't aware of how much is happening in Africa. What are you seeing?
First of all, thank you for welcoming. Yeah, Africa is very big. Africa have a lot of designers because we have seen during the entries that we receive a lot of important projects. Also, big names of design in Africa and well known outside the continent. And the things and the much important things that we have to understand to the people, the importance of design in Africa, especially in the business, because sometimes people think that design is just decoration and craft. It's important craft because we can have, it's a social design, but we can help people to work inside design and to have a better condition of work and social things about this. But we have also industry. We have countries that you want to invest in industry. When you think industry, you have to think design, especially about products. When you're doing agro-industry, you have to think branding. It's design. And after branding, before branding, it's strategy. And after branding, it's packaging. If you're going to make a juice for ananas, for example, you take example of Ivory Coast, they produce more than 50% of cacao of the world, but Ivorians are eating importing chocolate. It's amazing. They don't have Ivory brands. They need to develop a brands, concept stores, packaging. With we was talking about the transformation. It's a big example about this, for example.
So we've heard a lot at this meeting. Carlos Lopez, for example, talks about the importance of the industrialization of Africa and the sort of growth of African companies. I think Dominic Barton from McKinsey said his firm expects 1/5 of the major companies in the world by 2050 to come from Africa. If that's going to happen, that's going to need design. And that's going to come from African designers, you're saying?
Yeah, it's important because it's a ecosystem economy, because they need to work with the local designer that they have the capacity to respond to the question. I'm a company, I'm an investor, I'm doing this in for example, agro industry or product industry, or because it's very big what design can help in economy. And this is important to think ecosystem, to involve this designer to be a company, to grow up in the market. And if in some country they don't have the expertise of design, it's important to think south, what, for example, Morocco are doing with Gabon and with other countries, that we can come to help them to give their expertise of design, maybe to develop schools, education about young people that they dream to be designers, and we can help them. What we're expecting to do with Africa Design Award and after Africa Design Week, to export them, to show the work, and also to manage them, to market, to make a marketing around them, because when you are a designer, you look like a product. You need to make your promotion, you need to make your communication, you need to talk about what you're doing, your vision. People don't like your work or some kind of your work, but if you have a vision, it's very important. What are you going to help and to involve? Because people, when they're going to talk about designers in Africa, and another point, the countries that really have to take the opportunity to use their designer as an ambassadors, like the singers. We have seen the great Youssou. He's amazing. I love him, and they have to use designer what they are doing in the US or Europe, in the United Kingdom, France, using designer as ambassador, iconic image, because design is strong power of image. It's very important, and brands also are doing the same things.
You raised the issue of sort of young people. I'm curious, since that's been another one of the themes here at the New York Forum Africa, do young people in different parts of Africa understand that design is a possible career, or is that something that work needs to be
No,
done?
we have to work on it. For example, somebody asked me about me. So what's happening here in New York for Africa for you? Are you happy? Yeah, I'm very happy. I met a lot of people, interesting people. But sometimes, it's difficult because to talk with head of states. I'm working a lot with the state government in Morocco, with private sector, and working in international design because I became international designer first, and after it's always the same. And sometimes here we need help to maybe somebody to help you to make the right contact, because sometimes even from our country, I'm not talking about me and other designers.
Sure.
Our leaders don't think that they have to think that they have to take with them their architect, their designer, the people that they have the capacity and names,
Right.
because it's also marketing for a country, to help them to introduce them to the state, to the top management from the private sector and the public sector. And sometimes it's not happening. For example, for me, I need it. It's important.
Now, you're here particularly for the launch of the Africa Design Award. Explain what that is and what you think that might be able to achieve.
It's an idea of Richard Atias. I want to thank him so much for this idea, because first of all, it was he invited me with his team to come to make an honor a design, and he asked me to invite people that I think it's interesting to talk with them about design. Some of them they didn't come because I was thinking to mix designer with top management company for who I'm designing, because we have a businessman here, investor, hedge funds, and to understand them why design is so important and why design is business. Well, today we're going to talk with designers. It's good, but when I was talking with him, he was hearing that I'm launching the idea of Africa Design Award. He told me we are going to make the remittance of the prize during the New York Forum Africa. I was very happy. Imagine for me, it's a big help and
Sure.
big power just to start, and also to be under the patronage of the head of state, His Excellency the President of the Gabon. It's important because it's going to be an example for the other head of states in Africa, because the idea is to make every year a country honor guest of Africa Design Award, and especially it's not only to give an award, but it's important to say that it's more important what's behind this. It's strategy, it's lobby, it's networking, and it's something very hard work to understand that it's important. Now we are talking about the Africa of the present and also Africa of the future, and for me as an African from North Africa, from Morocco, it's important to involve and to introduce right now this strategy of design, because they have to think to make schools, they have to think about young people, education, and design. It's add value in economy, like digital, like innovation. It's very, very important.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.